Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and I have a color review for you. I think it is about 2 months worth of review, or just stuff that I've been up to, projects and things that I've been working on. I have used Castle coloring pencil, Black Widow 24 packs by Scarpion edition, and I've used Winsor Newton Ink, the 8-pack, I think, yes, and I've used gouache, watercolor, and ADAXI markers, and I just wanted to show you what I have been up to. All right, in no particular order, let's begin. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. Thank you for following me on this journey, and also thank you for those who have commented and left a quick, suggestion or just a quick greeting. Thank you so much. I could not have done it without you. So let's get into this. I picked this book up at my local bookstore, Kohl's, Indigo, whichever you have. They should carry this one. It's Color and Pray. It has scripture verses, which I totally cherish, or you could say inspirational words, and I just like to read it and color it and then meditate on it, like just have a moment. I will do a flip through once I'm finished, so I use these as my separator, but the truth is about using the book markers that I have placed on my Kofi page that you can go ahead and download, so you can use it as your book saver as well. Alright, so let's get right into this. I have done this page in ADAXI, the 168 marker pack, and it's more like a painting technique that I've done. It has a scripture that if ye have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. And that is St. Matthew chapter 17 verse 20. So it just reminds me to have faith, and every day we have faith, whether you want to believe it or not. The moment that you open your eyes and put your foot on the ground, that is faith. You don't know if the ground will still be there when you're awake, but you just literally, without even thinking, just place your feet on the ground, or roll over on it, or whatever you do. Once you've hit the ground off that bed, you're literally saying, I have faith. Or you just get up and go about your business every day. You're literally saying, I have faith that I'm able to accomplish whatever I need to do, whether it's premeditated, whether it's systematically, that doesn't matter. As long as you're going about your day, actually walking along, even breathing, that is faith. All right, so this is something that I like to reflect on. And the painting style, so I use the markers and just loosely, without any technique behind it, in terms of like say I'm going to do some dabs here, some splash there, because it's not watercolor or gouache, it is just markers, but the way in which I use the marker just kind of mimic that of painting. And I truly liked how this came out. So I maybe could have added some more colors to it, but I just wanted it to be more neutral and just relaxing. So I kind of put a bit of red and fuchsia here to just pop it a bit, just to say hello, I'm still here. It is not just so much earth tones, but it actually worked. And this is just a really loose kind of a technique here going. So sometimes you don't have to be coloring in the box, within the lines and everything. A bit outside and just being free. That is what art is all about, feeling free, relaxed, and just being willing to explore and experiment and enjoy what you're doing. So here is this page, and of course it bleeds through. So this book, if you are using the markers, be mindful of your other page. Make sure it's something that you don't mind if it's bled through. And my other is my tower. And this one is Psalm 18:1-2. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress, and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust. my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. And yes, I love this high tower. As I said again, I'm using the ADAXI 168 marker to mimic a painting technique. Very loose, with the idea of painting in mind. So not just coloring in blocks and blocking out parts and making it just unblendable. Everything here is blended. Even this, the rays coming down, I really love how that falls. And my country scene, more earth tones here, and just trying to reflect the sun rays on the water. And I totally love this page. Yes, I do. Alrighty, so again, another painting technique with markers using the ADAXI 160. And it bled through, so be mindful that you don't choose a page that you really want to color the underside. Alright, and that is it for my color and pray. Alrighty, friends, you know how I love me my pop manga, and Camila D'Erico has done wonderful. This artist is someone that I kind of am inspired by. So even my artwork, I want it to be in her style, kind of that's how I find myself illustrating as well, because it's so sketchbooky. I don't know if that's a word, but everything here is just free, natural, flowing. It's so traditional. It reminds me rather that, you know, before there was digital art, you had pencil and paper and or a sketchbook, and you sketch everything out. And that is what her artwork represents or reminds me of. So I kind of want to mimic that a little bit and adapt some of her style and make her part of my art journey mentor, if you want to say something like that. All right, let's get into it. Enough of the babbling. Alrighty, so the piece that I did, okay, this is what I'm saying. Get your bookmarker, okay? It's on my Kofi page. So this is what I did, and this is done in gouache. Again, the background is just plain white like this, but using gouache or watercolor, you can definitely create your own texture and atmosphere. So mine is still trying to be in a sea kind of a reflection, even though the sky or the above or foreground, background, the background is still reflecting the sea or the water that she is in, but in a more textured way, like it's blurred or in a distance and there's nothing behind her, just smoky mystique kind of a thing. Yes, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's the illusion I'm trying to create. And watercolor or gouache, if you know how to apply gouache, is perfect for this kind of technique. I didn't do much with the dragon, as well as I just did not overdo the picture either. If you wanted, you could go ahead and deepen this with pencils, or I probably should have done a part 2, but I didn't. Just deepen it with pencils and popping it a bit more, but I just wanted to leave it neutral as it is with just gouache only after thinking about it. And her skin is also done in a way that just makes her, she's brown in a sense, yes, but with a tint of purple and some undertone of fuchsia, and just make her yellow eyes pop, that she's not just human but you know, she's still fantasy. And her tail, trying to reflect the skin tone here and just making her with the purple hair there. And her dragon is having fun. So the main thing that I wanted to emphasize in this piece is the background. The background and the foreground. The foreground reflects is the water itself, and it's a different technique. If you can tell, it's more in swooping kind of texture, like you're making lines and making it distorted a bit, but the background is more like if you're thinking about clouds, or you're thinking about some smoky, mysterious environment. So it's more like you put the watercolor or the gouache, and make it kind of integrate with each other, the colors, so it's more wet on wet, and it kind of blends in, but not totally dripping wet. So when it dries, it has that staining effect. So that's the idea. I love me a staining effect background. All right, so I did enjoy doing this piece, and that is it for Pop Manga. And of course, this is the book I have been working on mostly, Botanicum. I don't know why, but somehow, maybe it's just the gold binding and the embellishment, I do not know. Maria Troll has done fabulous with the book. I just really like how the book is displayed. However, the line work are very, very basic, but I'm still in love with it. So I'm thinking I want to work hard at it and accomplish even half of this book before the year is end. So I'm trying to be methodical about this. I'm trying not to skip a page. And again, this is my painting artwork, original. You can go ahead and get your bookmarker. Okay, it's supposed to be waterfall and some mystical forest. I paint too, I just don't show you. Alrighty, so this book I have used the oh, and I have Ugmic coloring pencils. This book was totally dedicated to Ugmic until I got the Castle and the Black Widow. Then I totally changed my mind. So this book has now become a blend of Ugmic, Castle Scarpion brand, and Castle, Ugmic, and Black Widow. So I did this bird. I think this piece is done in Castle. So I'm using the Castle here to bring out the tone, trying to show you a different way in which to color the bird, doing it more of a single stroke, bringing out each feather and texture. I don't know if I've done justice to it, but that's just another way in which those professionals who color bird all day long, that's how they do it. They methodically take one stroke at a time, gently stroking back. Now that calls for patience, which I'm still working at. Anyways, just saying, but I do like the texture of my bird. So I'm just saying the Castle is really nice to work with. And I was just trying to play up with my greens and purples and lavender here. My bird, butterfly, trying to make it monarch, but the whole idea is Castle, and it worked. I didn't do anything with the background, just want to keep it neutral. I could have added some watercolor or something, but I just decided to let it stay as is. Then I moved on to this page here. This page, I think it was my, oh, Black Widow. Thank goodness for date and notations. So this is all 24 pieces of the Black Widow pencil, the Scarpion brand. So what I did, it was more of a tester. You know how you would have a chart and you would run all the pencils through on the chart, giving you color gradients and shading. I just did not want to do that because you've seen Black Widow so frequently. So what I haven't seen much is seeing all the challenge of all the pencils or all the colors being used on a page. And that is what I was trying to do here for you. So you literally have the opportunity to see the entire collection in a spread. How genius is that? That's what I would want to see. So I've done it for you. So you literally can see how the pencil actually works if I'm going to do a project. mark you, this could have been more attractive, but because I wanted to show the whole entire collection, I just find whatever object is most suitable and use it on, if you understand what I'm saying. So this would be the 24-piece Scarpion edition of the Black Widow, of which I love. So the pencil is not super soft like Prisma. It still has that little, it's actually wax based, but it has a little hardness to it inside, so it on the tip, so it doesn't, when you put the pencil down, it doesn't melt like so easily like the other extremely professional brand, as they would say, like the premium brands of the Prisma. But for those of us who are very hard colorers or colorists, where we would press a bit hard on the nib of the pencil and tend to, you have to feel every line, this pencil is made for that, as opposed to those who are very gentle and light colorists who don't need to feel the paper like you're scratching it. Those people use Prisma really well. All right, so just know what type of colorist you are, even though the brand is there and you hear people say, oh, it's so lovely and it's melting, and then you have some people would be saying the same thing about the same pencil, different thing about the same pencil, that it finishes so fast. It's just not firm enough. It's not the pencil, it is the colorist. Just saying. Keep that in mind to know what type of colorist you are. Or better yet, if you want to get certain type of pencils, like soft pencils, hard nib pencils, just remember the function of the pencil. So you don't have to give it a negative review. It's just the material and learning how to use the material to make the material last or do exactly what you want it to do. It's called manipulation. All right, so bear that in mind when you purchase a product. Don't knock the product, just like you would knock the line art, saying it's basic, speaking to myself, or it's very professional in terms of it looks AI generated. No, it's just the artist and their style. Okay, so it's the product. All right, enough of me rambling on about product. My last piece for this book is also in the Black Widow, and here I am again trying to play this up. Just a nice cozy coloring I'm finding this book to be. Although you know I'm very antsy about very tiny just tiny parts. I'm just not a big fan, and but it teaches me patience, as I say all the time. So I was really, this page literally took me, I was actually doing a webinar, right? A webinar, I don't know, session, one of those sessions that you can actually listen to, not a podcast, it's more like a webinar, let's say that. And it literally, the webinar is over an hour, and this piece took me over an hour. I could not believe it. Maybe I was not paying attention to the webinar, or I wasn't paying attention to this. But remember, coloring takes time. And I was surprised, and even when the webinar was finished, I still had a few details that I wanted to touch upon. So remember, if you're not going to dedicate yourself to something or a project that you're going to do, just forget it, right? Because you have to spend time on it, or it won't turn out as beautiful as you want it to. And then you start criticizing yourself and being very hard on yourself and wondering how it is that you're not growing. But you have to remember, it takes time. Don't look at the other colorists that you see who have spent like 6 years plus showing you what they've done when they started from scratch and how their coloring was so basic, and now they're like, wow, it's like mind-blowing. Don't even think about that. It takes time, it takes experience, and it also takes experimenting, okay? So if you're a beginner, don't worry about it. Just have fun until you've reached the point where you want to showcase your work to be the greatest colorist ever, and you can manipulate any material on one page. Then that's a different story. That's another level. But for now, for all my beginner friends, let's work with what we got. The pencils, the coloring markers, what we got, right? And make it pop, make it wonderful, make it magical, and add in a story to every blank page. All right, so for Maria, beautiful. My next piece is OMG. My Kirby, it's like I got all these Kirby books, but guess what? I just love the artwork. I haven't spent much time coloring Kirby, honestly. Why? You all know why. Because it's got too many tiny pieces. But many small parts. But I love me a Kirby. I just love looking at these pictures, right? They're like, oh my, color me, color me, color me. And I'm like, yes, I will, yes, I will. Not today. But I've mustered up the courage, and this is what you call coloring intimidation. A lot of people don't think it is real, but it is so real. You get intimidated. Like, I will tell you when I've reached that book, which book intimidates me the most. Not for fear, but because you just don't want to spoil the page. You don't want to add a color that will cause you to regret what you're doing. You don't experiment with these kind of books. You literally organize, demonstrate, and go ahead and make this thing magical. I don't know, maybe, you know, you got your book, your one book that you cherish like that. So Kirby is one of those, and literally I probably just have done 2 pages. This one I have done, it's actually in ink. This is all ink. It is the Winsor Newton Ink that I've used to create this page. Of course it's an experiment. Of course I'm exploring. But at the same time, I'm very happy I took the challenge and the opportunity to make it work. I think I should be coloring with ink more often. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I also have Dr. Phil's India ink that I work with too. It is more the iridescent ones, not so much the straight blend, the straight color. The iridescent has more of a shimmer to it, which you sometimes can't see on camera, but it looks majestic on paper. All right, so I've done this, trying to get my deer, but I just really like how I'm experimenting with the pink and blending it with the brown and giving it that fantasy feel. I like to use the word fantasy because everything is fantasy for me. You know, I'm a fantasy colorist. Okay, all right, enough of that. So this is what I use the Dr. Phil India ink on. I'm sure I've done this with Dr. Phil. And yes, I did. I used some. So I got a blend of both Winsor Newton and Dr. Phil. The India ink, yes, because I see the shimmer in it. And coloring pencils. I think this is the Castle the Ugmic pencil I used with this spread, as well as I used the Dr. Phil Iridescent, and I think I used a little bit of the Winsor Newton. Let me tell you the story behind this page. When I did this page, the ink bled through over here, and I said to myself, I'm going to take up the challenge of seeing what I can do to, I won't say restructure, to save the page, to revitalize the page, give it life. You know, something that's spoiled, to give it life. And that's what I did. That was the challenge for this spread. So I was trying to save 1 page, but then after doing the 1 page, I'm like, OMG, I just cannot leave the other side. It's a complete spread. What am I doing? Just 1 page, trying to save the page? So I literally went all out, and listen, this took me probably the whole month working on it. Yep, but I was persistent, and I took my time and I did it a little bit, every little moment that I had. I did not put this book away. What I did was left it on the table with the coloring pens that I'm going to use, or the material, the medium that I'm going to use, so I don't forget or get bored or just call it a day or just, you know, quit. I made sure I can see it, so I do it. So that's also another technique you can use to help yourself complete something instead of jumping onto another page. And I did not move on to another page until I finished this page. Like, what I mean, I didn't take up another book. I might have, I'm not sure. But the main idea is I wanted to complete this page. And that is what it is. So, you know, it's bled through. So what am I going to have to do now? I'm going to have to revitalize this page. Hence, it gets me coloring the whole entire book. Because if I'm going to use ink, it's going to bleed through every page. I guess that's a strategy for me to use to actually force myself to color this book. All right. But love it. Love me a Kirby. All right, and then this again is my original art. It's supposed to be a unicorn fantasy piece. Please get the bookmarker on my Kofi page, and this will help you save your page when you're doing reviews like me and you want to remember which page and which month. You can use these. And my next piece would be the Enchanted Fairy House coloring book. This book is lovely. I have done this book with with the ADAXI markers. So I'm also trying to be methodical about this book, and I've also used, I think these were Studio. I added, this is my first page, and I love the waterfall totally. I don't even know how I got this to work like that, but it's just beautiful. Anyway, that's not what I'm looking at. That's a long time ago. This is what I'm reviewing. One thing with this book I will tell you I love, see the black pages? You can definitely see the undertone and see exactly what was over the coloring side, but the black makes it look more professional instead of just looking like a bleed through. So tip to all my bookmakers, including myself, add the black page or something dark or deep, and it just helps the colors feel more accomplished rather than messy. All right, so this is the probably one and only piece that I might have done for this book. So the story behind this book is trying to, like, I have my color palette. This is ADAXI 168 markers, of which some of them are drying up. And what I'm thinking, let's use some of the colors that I've never ever used before, like orange, right? So here I go, trying to work with orange. It's dried up, partially dried up. So I'm like, seriously, what am I gonna do? So then I start playing around with the greens. It's pumpkin. I could have added some more, but I find my markers are drying up. Mark, you have had them for a good while, and they were juicy. They were awesome. I've done a lot of coloring with them, so not complaining. But the ones that I wanted to use on this page were all dried up, or mostly dried up, not effective. So this is what I had to work with to make it not spooky, but to make the page a bit mysterious, right? It's just, it worked, but I would expect more from it. Even the brown, I had to work on this brown because the brown I wanted to use wasn't working. But I will say, mission accomplished, and I still love this page. Not trying to be an in the liner, like coloring by the book or what. I'm just all over the place. It's very loose coloring. Even my trees, my bushes, they're just dabs here and here, and then fillers, and that's how I get this spread, the mulches to work, or the leaflets, so it looks more alive rather than I'm methodically trying to find where the leaf starts and where it ends. nuh-uh. When you have these bushes like this, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time trying to methodically figure out where each leaf is placed. But think about blending. And when you think about blending and looking at nature, everything is not the same shade. Even within the same patch, you have about 2 to 3 different shades going. So think that way. So that's it for the spread, which totally worked with my dried up markers, but I nailed it. You don't have to say it, I will say it. I nailed it. I'm just trying to give myself a boost of encouragement. So I'm yet to go on to any more page. I doubt I have done anything else. So I'm moving on. Okay, people, you all know this book. The latest edition I am totally wanting to get. I think it's about $32 or $36. With last time when I put it in my cart on Amazon, which I have not checked out because, you know, I'm just waiting for that $32. But I'm so happy that I got this one. One, I like the cover of this page. It's just reminds me of line art, because I'm a line art girl. See how she has the line art? It makes you literally want to color them, okay? And then you can tell that this is either watercolor or her pencil technique is so awesome that who cares? You just want to look at it all day long. Alrighty, and that's the first catch for me for this book. Plus two, the pages. I love the page. They are not thin paper pages. I know it's the publishing company. Yes, and that's why you pay $30 for it. But this page can hold some watercolor, can hold almost any medium if you know how to use it. So this book is my intimidation book. I do not want to mess this book up at all. Every time I see the pages, I want to color them, but I want to do such a good job that it's almost like you're trying to please your teacher on an assignment or a test. And that's how I feel when I take this book up. So when I'm about to color this book or a page in this book, I literally have nothing else to do, either the morning or the afternoon, or I make sure my agenda, my schedule is just completely devoted to this book. So when I put out a masterpiece like this, which I myself is totally impressed that I was able to accomplish this piece. And this is all gouache. Gouache and a little bit of coloring pencil. Yes, gouache and a little bit of coloring pencil. I will say this would be my Ugmic. Gouache and Ugmic. And I'm totally in love with this page. Listen, I wasn't even sure if I could pull it off. And I was using watercolor. I'm like, it buckles a little bit because it's not watercolor paper. And maybe I was just getting carried away thinking it's watercolor and just working it and almost spoiled it. Like if you put too much water in it without allowing it to dry properly, not with your heat gun, just, no, that will buckle the paper. So what I had to do was slowly work on it. This probably take me over 3 hours to complete this spread. You wouldn't believe. Maybe more than 3 hours. Yes, honestly. And what I had to do is, when I'm getting carried away, because you know when you're in the mood and you're just working at it and it's not watercolor paper, you don't want to stop. And you want to add layers and layers and layers and blend here and clear here. And then you realize the paper can't take any more water. You're like, OMG, what am I going to do? But you gotta stop, pause, let it dry. If you're using watercolor or gouache, you know it's a water medium, so you're going to have to be patient. And then the worst part is you don't want it to buckle, because when you're about to go on to the other section, you have to have like a straight or a flat surface to work on in order for the picture to look complete, like you know, on the same level, not not bumpy or rough. So I had to stretch the book, meaning when it was partially dry, you've got to close it. That's why I have these. These are just blank pages that I laminate and put it on, and put lots of heavy stuff on it so it flattens it and stretch it out. And when you are done and you're comfortable, which is more like 2 days or so, more than, then you go back and you start touching it up again. Mark you so the foundation is done, but then you also have to give it another layer, give it the opportunity to dry. So this book, if you're ever going to use watercolor or any water medium, just be careful and beware of that. But it is one of those awesome books that you actually want to, when you're done, you frame your artwork or you sell it. And well, you can't sell people's line art, but you know what I mean. You make it into bookmarker and give it away for free like me. But I'm telling you, I don't think I've made her into a bookmarker yet. I will put that with a few more pages that I want to do for another day. Alright, so this is my intimidation book, which I totally love. Thank you, Christine. Karen. I keep mixing up her name, but it's Christine. Thank you, Christine. Karen. Yes. Love this book so much that I don't even want to color it like Kirby's. Just saying. Although I will color them. And my second to last book would be my Night Voyage. And this is Daria's song. And I've done a quick review on Daria as well. Love it. For this book, this is Iridescent Ink, Dr. Fields. So I've done it with my Castle and Iridescent Ink. Can't say too much for it. The style of the artwork is totally different from regular line art, but it's a storybook. It's not a coloring book, it's a storybook. It's a storybook that you have to literally put colors to make it magical. I hope that's the idea Daria had behind this book. So that's what I've done for this book, and it took me a little while, especially these little details. You know me in details, but I love the Starry Night, and she's waking up, and how I got the cat to blend in nicely. And everything is an experiment and a challenge, and I loved it. So I'm heading on over to this page. This is also another idea I had when I got the Castle, and I wanted to use all the Castle shades on one page, but that never totally happened. I used some of the Castle on this page because it's mostly leaf, so if I'd use all the colors it wouldn't have looked that great. So it's mostly the greens and the green shades. Okay, so I hope this page is an inspiration when I was doing it, how you get to see how the Castle function. For the Castle, or maybe it was just me on this page, a little bit impatient and needed to take more time to blend it well. But this is one of those setup pencils with the hard nibs, even though it's supposed to be a softer core, but it still has that little bit of firmness to the tip. So you just have to be mindful of that when you're blending, so it doesn't look streaky or it's not properly blended. So that's on me. However, this page is totally fine. It's colored, right? It's colored in. And this is more one of the pages that I wanted to do a lot more blending, high tones, low tones, just, you know, having some variations and values. But sometimes, you know, you're trying to do something that doesn't totally work, but you will have other chances as there's a whole lot more pages. Okay, so that was it for me for this book, and I'll be working on it some other time, but I'm trying to do I'm trying to have a completed book instead of just all randomly going through all these books. So I'm trying to work on the Botanicum, see if I can go at least half a page through. Now this is my most prized brushes book because it was gifted to me by a special little someone, and it took me a long time in order to start this book. Not because it's an intimidation piece, but because I cherished it so much that I just didn't want to not really mess the pages up, but I just wanted to be in the right mood to do it and to, you know, really work at it. And I started and I realized that when I was inking, I inked through it. And that kind of discouraged me and not wanting to color it, but cherish it more. Not because the book is intimidating, but because it's special. And it was given to me by a special little person. All right, so what I've done is I'm trying to color through all these little, I don't want to say Monet, I don't know, Monets. They're pictures, okay? and one, it's an experiment with weird color shapes like this, like shades like this one. Where would you see like such a deep black with red? It's just wanted to see what blending weird colors would look like to actually figure out how I can incorporate some colors that we don't always often use, like black. We only use black for certain colors because we see them. It's almost like it's told to us that yes, that should be black, right? But if we decided to use black in something that's never heard of, how would it look? Can we still make it work? How can we shade the black? How can we have values and tones in the black to make it actually, like if we had a black challenge, how, well, you know, we could call that a grayscale or scale or whatever. But if we had to do a challenge with a one shade, how would we do it? So I just picked up some random colors that we don't quite use often and try to blend. So this would be my cozy coloring sheet, where I would be experimenting as well as trying to find some techniques and just experimenting all together. So this is what I've been up to for a few months in this book. I would say I have this page all done. I'm very proud of myself. And yes, I'm working on this. Now, I really love this book, but when I'm looking at all these little flowers, I'm like, you know, how? But see, that is something that I'm working on in myself. See, coloring not just is something that's joyful, but it also teaches you stuff like patience, resilience, decision, right? How to be firm and stick to your choices, even if it's going to spoil. How to bounce back and make something out of nothing. Wow, I like where I'm going with that. So that's my tip for you. All right, so I will be working in this book still. I'll always be working in this book. And I think I will always be working in Botanica. But whether I have a new book for you or not, that's another story, of which I've become an official hoarder of coloring books and an addict to coloring medium. So I literally had to stop myself and use what I have first and see how far that takes me. But whether I listen to my own advice, that's something else and another story for another day. However, thank you so much, my friends, for joining me on this review. It is such a pleasure, honestly, because you get to color and not just do it for yourself, because the first person you're coloring for is yourself. If you don't want to color, no one else will understand what you're coloring. But if you add some passion to what you're coloring and some enthusiasm, and you're happy with it and enjoying the process and so exuberant about it that you were going to explode out of your skin and you just have to share it, of which YouTube is there for, that's where the magic happens. So for me, it's when I'm coloring and I just really want to share it. Like, what am I doing? What kind of weird stuff am I up to? How am I going to make this into a magical piece? You know, and you're there for me and with me along the journey. That is what is precious. So I thank you so much for being on this journey with me, going through these books. Sometimes I miss a day or a week, maybe, I guess, but you are still there with me, and I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hearts? Yeah, okay, how do I make this? Yeah, hearts. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out my Kofi page. Thank you for donating, you know, so I can buy that Christine Karen book. You know what I mean? Although I'm still gonna buy it, honestly. But thank you so much, so I can show you what I'm doing and show you new books too. Well, I need a cozy, comfy book. You know, one of those cozy books with the little puppies and yeah, it says cozy coloring. Yeah, I need to get one of those. However, time will tell. So thank you for staying with me and for, you know, getting out your pencils, your coloring tools, and just joining me. Even if I'm doing something crazy, you're still there. And thank you to my one subscriber who always, there's never a post that I've posted that this person hasn't said, this is great, thank you so much for doing this. I truly appreciate you. And I just want to say thank you. You know who you are, and I just want to say thank you for cheering me along. And I'm looking for us to go to 700 subscribers easily. All right, thank you so much again, and I will see you in my next review or my next post. Ciao.